So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I turned this into a wildflower garden in just 1 week. To kick things off, I'm going to briefly talk about this area. It's about 100 square meters, and as you can see, it's very overgrown and it's littered with ivy. There's also tons of buried concrete around here, and it isn't really a nice place to be. There's a big cesspit here, and that contains all the sewage from my house, which is nice. But instead of just letting it become more and more overgrown, I thought it would make a nice woodland wildflower area. And I thought, why not spice it up by only giving myself 1 week to do it. Day 1. So the first thing I needed to do was do a massive clearing, and I had to get rid of these big roots. Then after some rain and a change of clothes, it was on to clearing the rest of the foliage. I started by cutting down low-lying branches, and after this it was on to the ground clearance. And to do this, I decided to push my lawnmower to the brink. Day 2. The second day was equally busy in terms of clearance. Having removed the vast majority of the surface ivy, I wanted to eradicate the roots, so I sprayed it with Roundup. I used the proactive concentrate version and mixed it 1 part Roundup to 5 parts water. I have 4 cats and a dog, so I made sure I locked them in the house for this just for safety's sake, and then I let them back out once it dried. A few hours later, once it was dry, it was on to the fun part, the tilling. Now my tiller is an electric one, and it's not very heavy duty. It specifically says on the internet that it's just for use in flower beds and in very, very light soils, but I thought it could handle it because my goal was only to till up the top couple of inches of soil, and this would help the roots penetrate once my seeds begin to germinate. At this point my tiller was so choked up with ivy and old rope that it blew the fuse, so I had to finish with a pickaxe and with a little help from the old man. After this, the soil was lightly levelled and the excess debris was raked up. So, in 2 days we went from this to this, which is just incredible, and because of the herbicide I had to wait around 48 hours before I could do anything else. Day 4. So during my day off I ordered some fence posts and some edging for the garden, and it had been 48 hours since using the herbicide, meaning it would have absorbed into the soil and I could begin prepping it for seeding. As far as prep goes, I used some pre-seed fertiliser and applied it using my rotary spreader for even coverage. Once the pre-seed fertiliser was applied, I lightly watered the area just to dissolve some of the leftover dust from the fertiliser. However, I still had to wait a couple of days before I could do any seeding. Day 5. My fence post arrived and it was on to creating a border for my garden. For each post, I dug a hole about 60 centimetres deep. I added postcrete and water whilst ensuring the posts were level. When the postcrete had dried, I backfilled the rest of each hole. My plan was to connect the posts using rope to create a very informal border to the wild garden. Now I just had to wait for my rope and edging to arrive. Day 6. The first order of business was to visit my compost heap, so I could add some nutrient-rich soil to certain areas. My edging also arrived, so I dug out a small trench and laid some in there. I couldn't secure them yet, but I wanted to create somewhat of a border before seeding. Then it was time. I used a mix of grass seed and wildflower seed. This is a specific grass seed blend designed to thrive in shady areas. I will link it below. Once I had applied this using my rotary spreader, it was on to applying the wildflower seed. Now this bag of seed doesn't look like a lot, but it contains so many seeds and so many different types of wildflowers. I'll also link it below. This is more than enough seed for this area, and to get the best spread, I decided to apply it by hand, also very gracefully. The seeds were then raked into the soil and rolled. Because of the lack of sunlight in the area, it may take 2 to 3 weeks for the seeds to germinate. Day 7. Today was the day that I had to get it finished. My rope had arrived, so I drilled some holes in my fence post for it to pass through. I also bought these rings which I secured to a few trees, so they could double up as fence posts and create a more natural feel to the garden. My edging pins also turned up, so I could get onto fitting that. And it was all starting to take shape. Now I just had to pass the rope through each post. Both ends were secured with a loose knot. And that was the garden complete. It's now just time to let nature run its course and for the seeds to grow. The before and afters are pretty crazy, given that it is a week between each photo. I'll provide an update when these seeds do start to grow, and I'll link it to this video. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe. Comment below any questions you have as well. And remember to save the bees.